accounting document agent, which I'm going to build from scratch. Client sends a document, attachment, invoice, whatever it happens to be. The agent needs to get that in some way. It needs to process that. Instead of the client emailing stuff, the client could actually connect to an agent, connect their email address, connect their existing systems, and there could be an agent that automatically just monitors all of their activity of that client, and when it picks up something that's relevant for accounting purposes, it automatically pushes that across the accounting firm's agent. So you could have an agent-to-agent communication happening. Or the agent could automatically talk to accounting firm software, accounting document agent. The agent is supporting a small Australian tax and accounting firm. We want to have the agent automate this process. I'm going to keep this one pretty short though, so I'm just going to answer one more question and then jump straight to the agent build because I want to kind of do this a bit more manually. I'm basically just going to go, I'm done, I'm going to build it. So what's actually happening at the moment is it's drafting a plan for the agent. A knowledge base, we wanted to have a knowledge base of the most up-to-date tax information or documentation or internal processes. This is the agent, it's given it a name Tally. We have the ability here to review those connections to set up, and there's an onboarding conversation. We're building an agent that an accounting firm could use. And now this agent Tally is being built. So before it was just an outline. We're now going through and actually building the detail of the agent. So each of these skills are now being built. There's 200 odd connections here. So if I go to finance, a whole bunch of different connectors here. So there's things like FreshBooks, PayPal, QuickBooks, Stripe, Square, Wise, Xero. It would be possible to connect all those different systems and have the agent sort of push data in or out of those automatically. You'll actually be able to specify the country or region that all the data should be stored. So you'll be able to say, okay, this is an agent that's going to operate within Australia. So all of the data that's being stored here that the agent's using should be stored in Australia. There's an important compliance piece there. It's also possible to have guardrails, ensure that the agent doesn't provide financial advice or those sorts of things. You know, if you've already got a compliant sort of system in terms of storing documents, you can use that and just connect to that in terms of how you would leverage the agent that gets built. Our agent is built, which is great. So I'm going to open that up. So we have our first draft of our agent. These blue dots indicate things that the agent has suggested that probably need to be reviewed. We then have the behavior of the agent. So this is its personality, response style, the intelligence level. For this demo, the agent actually has its own email address. The onboarding in this context is an accounting firm that's using this agent for the first time, and they need to connect their things, tell the agent important information. It's asking to connect your email account that's going to receive the documents, connect to the document or job filing system where stuff's going to be stored. On the right hand side, we have a test chat. As I make changes, I can actually talk to the agent and make sure those changes are working as I expect. There's also a reset button here. So if I change, say, the onboarding questions, so those onboarding conversations trigger again, so I can make sure that those changes have worked as I expected. A set of skills. Now, this is obviously pretty important. I wouldn't normally do this, but just for today, I'm going to delete these skills that were created from the original process. I've already connected Google Workspace, Notion. On a separate window, I've actually got some test documents, which I'll email through once we get this set up. You have access to my email inbox. Check the inbox. Any email relating to filing accounting, you will review the email, fetch any attachments. You will match client names against our client list in this Notion database, and I'll link. If you have a match, you will upload the email attachment to the correct client in this folder. Please check you can access all these systems. So it confirms it can talk to Google. It's got access to that Notion client database. And then it's asking me a question. When should I pause for your review versus filing autonomously? My default plan, file automatically when the sender document clearly matches one client in the database. Drop anything ambiguous into needs review. Yes, that plan is good. One more thing, anytime you process a document, you must add an entry into this Notion database that is an audit log of all your actions. There's a tools used option. So you can see here how it processed. It searched for tools, it then worked out what it needed to call to test those connections. Agents have their own memory, short-term memory or long-term memory. And so in this case, it looks like it has memory that it's created, which is pretty cool. There's no messages here. So the first thing I'm going to do now is actually just send a document to this email address. If I refresh that, there we go. So I've now sent this PDF file. Like, this is just a super simple fake document. So now let's trigger this. So let's go. So just a reminder, it's got to do a bunch of stuff. It's got to check the email inbox. It has to determine if that email is a valid client, download the attachment, need to work out what type of file the attachment is. It then needs to take file itself and the data and upload it to the correct Google Drive, then needs to update the Notion database, and then it probably should mark the email as read or delete it, which I didn't add to its requirements. So it'll be interesting if it does anything. Found one with a PAYG document. Now it's trying to fetch the contents of the PDF. What LLM model is this agent using? In this example, I've decided to use Ultra, which is Opus 4.8. The standard model that I showed before is actually an open source model called Kimi 2.6. Our objective is to have standard, which is probably the leading open source model that's fast enough and cheap enough for 95% of tasks. And then we have Ultra, which is sort of like one of the leading models that you can get access to. And obviously there's a higher cost associated with that. PAYG, assessment clear match. So correct. So that email that I sent through is defined. There's a couple of other attachments that it's looking at, and it said, okay, this one is not a client, needs review. I didn't even realize that that was an email that was sitting in the inbox. There we go. It's uploaded that file. There it is. That was the email. Needs review is empty. So in a minute, that should be updated as well. While it's doing that, custom tools. Let's say you're using an accounting software or some sort of platform where we didn't have a connector available. Part of what we try and do is build connectors. If you request something, we'll have it built within a few days. You can actually do this yourself as well. So you can click connect an API, and so you could connect to an existing API or system. There's a lot of flexibility here where you can kind of integrate the agent into different systems. It says that we are done. It routed this one to needs review. So if I come into here, it is. There we go. Boom, needs review. We have an audit log. Perfect. We have these 2 entries in the audit log of what it did, what it filed, what the document type was. Here we go. Now it's saying, do you want me to mark those as read? 1. Yes. Yes, mark processed emails as read and apply a filed label. That's a good idea. So you can actually have a look and see exactly what the agent did. It fetched and it did stuff in parallel for efficiency. Fetched those 3 emails, got the file contents, got the attachments, and then created the pages in Notion and the documents in Google. So we'll say yes, mark those processed emails. What I'm going to do here is say I want you to build audit log page. So I'll let that run in the background. I'll come back to that in a sec. Can you now turn this into a skill for this agent? Let's see what it's done. Here we go. So it's built this out. This is that audit log, basically like a mini little application now where you can search what's been matched, what's needs review, pulling from Notion. And so then I can actually pin this to my home screen and I can actually open this up at any time. Like you can get the agent to do stuff behind the scenes, but then you can build like a page, a dashboard, a mini app like this that gives an interface to interact with what the agent's doing. The agent has now suggested a skill based on what we've just done by hand. I'm going to create a new skill. We want to trigger this skill when we need to process the latest emails from the inbox and file them. Process new email. There's this little coach icon, and so you can click on that and it will give you an agent to actually modify the skill. So I'm going to say review this process new emails skill and fix the formatting. And so if I come back to this audit log, could build another little page that is actually on a per client basis. There we go. It's fixed that formatting, so I can accept that. So obviously the agent does have access to an email inbox, so you could automate following up on a regular basis to say, hey, these are the 3 things that we still need from you. That would be a pretty simple thing to do. That would probably be a separate skill, and you could automate that. We now have our formatted skill. I haven't reviewed this. I'm just going to assume it's okay, and let's give it a crack. I'm going to create a brand new conversation so we can test that skill out. I'm going to send a new email with a different attachment so we can test a brand new piece of data coming in, a new document to file. It's come through, so cool. We want this to get processed. So I'm going to say here, run the skill to process email. Okay, I've loaded the skill. I have all the tools. You can see the thinking, searching emails. The agent's doing a lot of work here, right? So more work than an agent does, and it costs tokens. At the end of the day, there's a cost associated with that. So if I come across to Bianca, no file in there yet. There's no audit log there yet either. It's still processing. So I found it. There we go. We now have that file there, which flagged that it wasn't sent from her registered email. It was sent from me, which is pretty cool. Obviously, you could have a rule there, perhaps, that you only accept stuff from the official email. Audit log entry written. So let's check that. We have 3 there. Let's refresh page we've got here. And there we go. We've got Bianca in there as well. And you can see here the different tools that it used to achieve that. So obviously, the next step, set that up as a this skill up to run on a recurring basis. So I come into heartbeats. Every hour, I want to process new emails. So every hour now, that would run automatically. Let's say you built this agent and you want to go and sell this to accounting firms. You could publish this agent now and make it available to any accounting firm. And so now when I publish this agent, I can make it available to its own website. If anybody goes to that website, the agent that I've just built, you can go there and you can use it and chat to it just like I did. You can also access it through an API. Lots of things, obviously, you could continue to expand upon in terms of the capabilities. One of the cool things, right, like in the onboarding process, the agent can ask questions and it can save your answers to its memory and then use that to change the structure of how it operates. That's sort of really powerful. That helps make it possible to build an agent that's reusable and can be deployed across a lot of different organizations.